Fellow Amazonians, today na Boxing Day. I go on for take this time for talk a little bit about Justice Ayah Paul Abine, where he done just pass away into glory. Why would we wait for hear about details of a burial? But Pa he done choose for die for a Christmas day. Some person send me message from my inbox say Christmas na Pa na Christmas. And I think say it reflect a lot about Pa Abine, Justice Ayah Paul, a very wonderful human being, a masterpiece of life, an icon where we all look upon as an example for people the way they don't come for our life publicly, for this Southern Cameroon and for we Anglophone them. And I want to take the time today for talk a little bit about his life, play some video them for a last interview we granted for Equinox, I think 9 months ago, before it one can die. At that time, he just come from a treatment for Douala. So I will give the talk about Pi life for this our daily brief. Pi Paul get a lot of humor. If you don't follow it for YouTube, for Facebook page, it always posts make jokes about religion and about a lot of things and for life, about the encounter with people and for life. A very jovial person, a very happy person who have lived a good life. Despite the challenges, Pa was a happy person. He has a wonderful family. He died surrounded by his family from what we have heard. He was a very wonderful person. So Pa Ayah Paul, he died for Christmas Day. Pa choose that day for go. And he just be so like a character, a very funny man, a person who get a good sense of humor, and a very wise man, a very bold piece of humanity, and a person where he truly represent the spirit of Southern Cameroon. Pa, he be been a member for CPDM. As so when I will see, I will put a picture where they be swear in the person who stand for directly for a back now Paul Bia in namesake also Paul. I will play the video where Pa be send a message for Paul Bia. Pa be been a CPDM member for a long time. And we don't always assume say all man way there for CPDM na bad person. But apparently people then there for the different reason them. And Pa Ayah Paul is sure say just because you be for CPDM, you know just supposed to do things them stupidly. Pa be a member for CPDM. During one of the interview where they be asked, he say, Pa, why did you join CPDM? Pa be explain and say he be join and because he want to bring development for Acquire for a native land. He be the fight for bring development. And the only way if we bring development for make government me develop your area and for be part of that system. So that was the system he find himself in. He be go there because of the Acquire people. But guess what? Today, Acquire na the most enclave area for inside Amazonia. For all my work as an activist, from village to village, talking to people, looking videos, talking to the native people, the Acquire is the most remote area. As a matter of fact, to go to Acquire, people go to Nigeria before coming into Acquire. When humanitarian crisis happen, even the United Nations, they go to Nigeria, or the United Nations in Nigeria come into Acquire because the roads are too bad. There is no hospital, none, that is functioning or with staff in Acquire. It's the most remote area in Amazonia. So even the reason that he went to the CPDM did not work, and that should be a lesson to all of us. Perhaps that is why he could leave CPDM. So Pa was a CPDM member who was a member of parliament, and he resigned. He was the only CPDM member who went against Paul Biya when Paul Biya decided to change the constitution of Cameroon to have unlimited terms in office. Pa is the only CPDM member who went against that decision, and he received death threat from CPDM members. They tried to kill him, and because of that, Paul Biya has never forgive him. But Pa took that decision because of principle. Pa is a man of principle. He believed in the institutions of democracy and accountability. Despite the politics in the CPDM, Pa said that no, the CPDM people should not support unending term limit for Paul Biya. And because of that, he was punished.
Mr. President of the Republic, if I stood against constitutional amendment, I had nothing against you. It was a matter of principle. Pension is a saving, money deducted from my salary over the period of my career. It is not money I have to earn. How on earth would our government sit on my money for 7 years, even at the time that I am on the brink of the grave? Mr. President, I leave it to your conscience. You may wish to ask yourself, if I were in Paul Ayah's position, and you happen to be Paul, the wonderful preacher, the wonderful teacher, if we bear that name truly, I leave it to your conscience.
Pa have been outspoken. People would wonder, but why did Pa create his own party, PAP? Why did Pa not go and join John Fundi? That is a question only Pa could answer. But I guess because when he was in the CPDM, he was also being seen by the SDF as a rival to John Fundi because they were the people supporting Paul Biya. Nevertheless, Pa thought his party did not really carry traction. I think because of his lack of foundation with the opposition. So when he came as a political leader, people listened to him. He had wonderful messages, the best messages. I listened to his rally and what he was saying. But as a young man, I will always ask, like, why don't you join John Fundi or partner with him, with the SDF? So those things are some of the things that historians will continue to study. But Pa, when this strike, when the issue of Southern Cameroon came up in 2016, Pa Ayah Paul decided to hit the call. He was the only one in his generation that hit the call for our people who stood up and said, we want to terminate political participation in Cameroon. Because of what? The Cameroon government had declared war upon us. People think that the declaration of war was when Paul Biya stood at the airport and made the announcement he made. No, the declaration of war was done by Laurent Esso, who was then the territorial administrator minister of Cameroon, who decided to ban the consortium. That decision to ban the consortium, declare SCNC and the consortium basically as terrorist group, invoking the Cameroon new law of anti-terrorism, was a declaration of war. Because what was the consortium representing? It was representing the collective bargaining position of all Southern Cameroonians. Agbobala, Fontem Niba, Harmony Bokba, and all those initial lawyers, civil society leaders, successfully came together to represent our entire interest, us as a people, in one organization called the consortium. That consortium was also recognized by the Cameroon government because they engaged with them in direct negotiation for the interests of our people. In the middle of those negotiations in the ad hoc committee at the ministerial level, the minister decided to ban the consortium and issue an arrest warrant for everybody to be arrested. That was a declaration of war because it means that our identity have been criminalized. Our representation have been criminalized. And they put Atanga Paul to come in there and fight that war. So that ban itself was a declaration of war. And in reaction, our people say, if Cameroon do not recognize us as a people and they have criminalized us as a people, then we have no choice but to go our separate ways and to declare independence. And the first thing our people did, which we worked with Seseko to accomplish, was the mass rally. I think it was in September. In September, 18th September or 20th September 2017, where everybody rose up and demanded, we asked people to go to their parliamentarians, their senators, their mayors, and their chief palace, those 4 places, and go there and ask them that we want everybody to withdraw back from Yaoundé. If they are going around arresting the consortium leaders, they have declared that we cannot represent ourselves as a people, then let everybody come out from Yaoundé. That call was never heeded by anybody who is in parliament. John Fundi, Honorable Weber, all those good people we know, Lawyer Sama, and the late barrister who was killed in Bamenda, Kemende, none of them who were fighting for democracy, none of them heeded the call of the people, the Anglophones, Southern Cameroons, except Ayah Paul. Ayah Paul alone decided to resign because his party, he knows that they were not, his political party was a Cameroon party, just like SDF. They have Francophones there. So you must respect them. That is why we could not, Frundi should have resigned from his post and say, because of this call of the people, I now choose to stand with my people and speak for them. Ayah Paul resigned, losing money, losing protection, and as such, he suffered direct consequences. He was arrested, put in prison, which is one of the things that precipitated his death. He was refused justice because he stood up and spoke for the people of Southern Cameroon and said to the world that our people want separation. Our people are challenging the Cameroon authority to govern us. When Cameroon was dismissive of our case, he stood for us. The last time I spoke to him was his interview. After his interview with Equinox, is it Equinox or the TV station in Yaoundé, where he was making the case again that we have no union treaty. And I call him and I tell him that, Pa, it is wrong. There was no requirement to have a union treaty with Cameroon because we have made the case, even you have made the case previously, that Southern Cameroon was not an independent or sovereign state. Our sovereignty was legally executed by the British government. So we could not get into a treaty with Cameroon. But we use those things as a wartime statement for our people to fight. And it was time for us now to accept the reality that there was a union which has been acknowledged by the Anglophone movement, Gojidinka. Everybody had accepted that position. The position that dismissed the Cameroon sovereignty was a radical ideology that was introduced by the SCYL, by Dr. Beneza Kwanga. The idea that we are not a part of Cameroon, we were never a part of Cameroon, was introduced in the 90s by Beneza Kwanga. So that position was adopted as a wartime instigation of our youth to rise up and fight, to advocate for our right of self-determination. Because if Cameroon position was that we were a part of their country that was lost to Nigeria, that we were not equal, that they are somehow representing the German Cameroon, which were all lie and their own propaganda. If they were making those statements to the extent that they banned the consortium, we were justified to also say that we also refuse that you don't have the power to govern us. But I had explained to Pa that things have changed. We have not succeeded because of our internal dynamic, and we have succeeded to force Cameroon to accept and concede that we are a people. And it is time for us to stop the wartime instigation of violence or instigation of resistance and try to pursue this path. Which Pa, he didn't say yes to me, but he definitely said, okay, I don't hear. And since then, he had not given any interview to make those statements that we used to make, that ask Cameroon, where is the union treaty? Those were all propaganda and a way for us to express our anger. So we choose the radical thing to say. But our people needs to be able to understand how politics work and how revolution work. The thing is that it is what it is. Pa was a brave man. Pa stood for our people. He said things for our people. He defended our people. When the Cameroon government was killing people, removing people from ambulance and killing them in the hospital, he went there to make testimony. He was the witness. When they were hiding the fact that there was a humanitarian crisis with the amount of people running for safety in Nigeria, his NGO was there to do humanitarian work that also highlights and prove that we were refugees. And they used only our own people to come after him. Success Congo, who was like a son to Ayah Paul, was the one Cameroon government used through bribery to go and make a false accusation against Pa in court so that they could hold Pa and put Pa in prison, even when they had no charges against Pa. Everything Pa have said was within the laws of Cameroon. But Pa is a very brave man. For him to have chosen the side of the oppressed, when he knows that it will not benefit him, it will bring him all the suffering and pain, even up to his death, he decided that it was worth it. And there is one thing that Pa said, which have been said to me also when he wanted to pick up this, take this stance, especially when he want to run for election. I want you to listen to what Pa said.
I remember that when I wanted to stand presidential election in 2011, a well-meaning Cameroonian statesman called me and said, Paul, I know who you are. Cameroonians are not people worth fighting for. They will lead you to the middle of the river, and when they see the torrents, they will leave you there alone and withdraw. And you alone would be swept downstream. Those are Cameroonians. How can people who have the power be treated by a single individual to whom they delegated some of their powers? The president is elected by the people. He can never ever be more powerful than the people who elected him. And if the people are suffering and at the same time they're asking him to continue to be there, then they are not suffering.
So you have heard Pa. Pa said them call it tell say, is our people worth fighting for? Because when you go from Nkenu for halfway with them, they go leave you for road. Those things have been said to me, I remember, when we invited Akwanga to China. The ambassador of Cameroon, who was in Beijing, called me because I had, for my work as an activist, I've been working to fight for democracy, to fight for economic equality for Cameroon for a long time. They call me and they tell me, if you meet Akwanga, these are terrorist people. These are people that the Cameroon government will never recognize. If you meet this type of people, Capo Daniel, you should think on the consequences of yourself, because these same people you are fighting for will never stand for you. While it is true that everybody have questioned, is our people worth fighting for? Imagine you are doing everything to fight for our people, but they will still turn and listen to agents of La Republique who come and raise false questions about your character. I fight every day against kidnapping. I fight every day to preserve our soldiers. But you find Nippon crooks, ex-convict, like this guy they call Fabiano Deco, criminals, including Eric Tato, who come and raise questions about my character. People who have listened to me to every day, they will still listen to those people. It's very, very aching. But we look at our people and we say, you are worth our sacrifice. You're worth, because I've always looked at our history and I look like, why did our people not fight for this? Why did Foncha not do this? Yes, Foncha was not an Anglophone. He was not a Southern Cameroonian by birth, for sure. He was from Bangante. But nevertheless, he was an Ambazonian because he was a resident in our territory. We are civilized people. The thing is that the way our people behave sometimes, nobody supports nobody supports me. You do it at your own cost. And but that is the only way you can help our people. Because to help people who are enslaved is like trying to help a drowning man. They can drag you under the water if you are not careful. To save a slave, that slave can kill you because all he knows is slavery. The mentality is still there. So that's why I do what I call cultural war. I'm a cultural warrior. I try to educate our people and fight the cultural hindrances that makes it impossible for us to free ourselves. So that question have been asked to Ayah Paul, even to myself. Like sometimes I look at our people and say, are these people worth fighting for? Look at Aruki. I saved his life. What did he do? He go and follow this girl there. What did that girl do to him? Make him to go and hide in a village and become useless until he died. Very sad story. Our people are like that. Look at Efa. I built the ADF. Look at Ayabacho. I built Ayabacho. Yes, he had a strong face, but he was damaged. I built him and make him who he is. I gave them the content that make their TV channel a TV channel. I did everything for them. But what did he do? He come around when he see that I will not help him personally. He decided to go out and blackmail me. I helped Seseko a lot. I cannot even count it. He made me his ambassador. I helped him a lot. But he didn't come to blackmail me. There are some few people among his organization that try to do that. But our people are like that. Our people are like that. We have a lot of cultural difficulties. But overall, I look at it this way. It is my country. I'm a Southern Cameroonian. I'm an Anglophone. If everybody is bad, it means that I'm also bad. No. I decided I choose the way that Ayah Paul have chosen. Choose my principles, my personal principles, and the God that I serve. I don't do things because of other people. I don't conform. I'm somebody who look at things not the way they are and accept them. No, I look things for the way they ought to be. Ayah Paul also talk about the hopelessness in the international community in the face of Cameroon's ability to control our resources, which is something I've fought for. I call for the Haiti solution because if we cannot cut the economic interests of Cameroon, stop them from exploiting our resources, we will never have justice. And we failed to do that because nobody listened to that message. Why? Because our activists were more focused on popularity. They were focused on killing Cameroon military more than doing other things. They didn't know that the economic side is more important than even killing the Kelebes.
The international community talks about interest, British interest, French interest, American interest. Once that interest is safeguarded, it is meaningless to the West how many people die. It is meaningless to the West the principle of human rights, democracy. The trouble is that Cameroon is fantastically rich in so many diverse ways. Underground, look at the minerals, apart from oil, iron ore, manganese. On the land, you will drive kilometers upon kilometers of rubber, kilometers upon kilometers of banana, oil palm trees, a variety. Cameroon is fantastically rich. And any Western power, I don't say much about the East, although the Chinese are draining us in silently, but the West wants what we have, to the detriment of democracy, to the detriment of human rights, to the detriment of lives, human lives. Once they get what they want, it matters not what happens to us.
Something I've fought for. I call for the Haiti solution because if we cannot cut the economic interests of Cameroon, stop them from exploiting our resources, we will never have justice. And we failed to do that because nobody listened to that message. Why? Because our activists were more focused on popularity. They were focused on killing Cameroon military more than doing other things. They didn't know that the economic side is more important than even killing the Kelebes. We want to wish Ayah Paul farewell. We will tell his story for the rest of our life. He's a man of principle, a man of justice, a man of fair mind and straight thinking. He's an example for all of us to emulate and live our life like that. Don't just do things for yourself, but do things for the people. We are called to live a life greater than ourselves. We are all going to die one day. Today is him, tomorrow it will be me, tomorrow will be other people. We are all going to die for sure. And the most important thing is what legacy we leave behind. What are we going to account to God? Because when we appear in front of God, nobody will be there. No image will be there. No popularity will be there. It will just be us and how we live our life, the decisions we made, and the things we choose. I've chosen to make certain compromises because we did not win the war. If we could win the war, if we won the war, I will not be making compromises. But even if we won the war, we might still need to make compromises anyway because we know how things work. But for the sake of our people, we have to put our people first. We have to put our people first and make sure we move these things, we move our people forward. So, farewell, Ayah Paul. We celebrate and we pay tribute to a great man, a man of integrity, a man of valor, a man that our people can truly build a monument of, and he will represent what we will want our children to be, which is the most important. In all of our politicians, he is one of those only person I can say, I want my child to be have your value. He's one of the only person. There is no scandal that Ayah Paul ever take money from Paul Biya. Bribe like bribe. There is no scandal about him. There is none. Farewell, Pa. You have lived a good life, a wonderful life. You are highly blessed. Despite the fact that you die like this without touching your pension, you are richer than that. And we all see the value your children have adopted. And we say it's a life well lived, life well lived. And we are truly grateful for who you represent for us as a people. Farewell, Pa. Safe journey. We'll see you on the other side.